Who's that lady?
Welcome to another episode of Industrial Amputation, where you can always expect the unexpected. Joe Average has taken some personal time, and he will be back with us next week. He sends his deepest condolences for not being here today. Also, just a minor correction, Enesh's latest album features artwork from Joshua Lexvold. So today, we have with us Chicago post-punk band that consists of two bassists, a drum machine, zero guitars, and very importantly, no BS. We're very excited to have us today, Karen and Ivan from Bellhead.
Hi, happy to be here.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
Love
Always like to hang
you.
out with all the bass players that we can.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
First things first, what is the meaning behind the name of your band, Bellhead? How'd you come up with that?
Oh, naming a band is a really difficult convention. We got really lucky because we came across we real quick. It was well, Duran Duran's taken. How about Bellhead?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all it took.
That's about all it took. Damn.
Um, so how did you two cross paths and meet? And when was this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as Levi can attest, if you're in kind of the Chicago scene, you know everybody and you've known everybody for a long time, right? Ivan and I have both been intertwined in the Chicago music scene for years and years and years. Ivan specifically spent a lot of time, down with Martin Atkins as well, and with Levi. But we met specifically because we played in the same band at different times, and we essentially kind of volleyed back and forth and replaced each other a little bit. So it was a band called Black Country Rock, and then it was Sheriff Scab's Black Country Rock. So Ivan was in that band. Long story short, he left the band. I took his place. Then I left the band. He rejoined. And at one point, we actually thought about reinventing the band with two bass players, and we would both be in it at the same time. But instead, we created Bellhead. And kind of the rest is history.
Music very unique. Levi?
Yeah, that's very good.
It's also, it was kind of interesting too, because when I joined Sheriff Scabs, our Ivan and my bass playing is very different, right? And you can hear that in the music that we play now. But I remember at one point, meeting Ivan, and he coming to me going, he's like, "You're playing my bass lines wrong." And I'm like, "They're my bass lines now, jerk," But it was, and then at the same time, like, I wrote songs while he was gone. And then, I got a chance to kind of poke him back and go, "Hey man, you're playing that wrong. You got to change that." So
Good.
Yeah, Ivan, it's like you've been in we were around before when the Pumpkins were just playing local scenes. And what other bands have you been in? You know?
Well, I was in Mr. Russia for a long time, and Black Country Rock played in punk bands, played in I don't know. It's like I have a website with my discography because I can't keep it all straight. You've got how many records have you been on? All of them?
I know. I know we go
really,
back.
Charles, like, if you're not in an industrial band, it's one of us. That's kind of where it is. Like, we make up about 90% of the bass lines in industrial
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I remember one particular time we were out up front of the Metro, and Ivan, you were there, and so was the guys from Stabbing Westward.
Yeah.
And it was like you were we were all talking about our bands respectively, and we were just all chattering like cackling like chickens and everything, blah blah blah. And and I remember I was saying, well, I got to see you play. So I got to see your band, and you're like, you're not gonna see us, whatever, you know, you know, whatever. But we all supported each other, you know. That's how I felt, you know. And it was always a good taste in my mouth whenever I see you, you know.
Levi, you were at the first Bellhead show,
Yeah. I was there, yeah.
and that was nothing short of intimidating.
Well, I was glad, you know, to be out that day, you know, very.
Well, it wasn't just so Joe, I mean, obviously you weren't there. So this was our first Bellhead show. Like we're like,
Yeah.
this is it, and this is what we're doing. And we were playing this little venue in Chicago called Livewire. It's, you know, one of our favorite places.
Yeah.
And it was a great turnout, but we're like, we've never played these songs for anybody. No one's heard these songs. And Charles Levi is there, and Martin Atkins is there, and Greta Brinkman from Pigface and L7 was there. I think like Dwayne Buford was there from
Yeah.
Ministry. And we're going, holy shit. Every goddamn bass player in Chicago is in this room right now. We better not suck. And like how like that was like the most intimidating thing ever, I think, was like that's how we kicked it
Yeah.
off, you know?
I
That was-
imagine. Yeah.
We were on stage, and right before we went to play, Steve Silver was introducing us, and I turned to Karen and I said, maybe we should have played these songs for more than 7 people. Ladies and gentlemen, Bellhead.
No one went off with it.
Yeah, thankfully the show went well, and we didn't face plant, you know.
Yeah, that was cool. I used to wonder, you guys could hear anything particular on that stage. Because that stage, every time I played on it, it's like, God, you know, thank God for rehearsing, because you know, it's just nuts, you know. But you guys sounded good that day. That was really good. That was a good show. That was a good show, the first show. That was a good show the last time I saw you, just now, when you were all out here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what a difference, right? Like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much 5 years can do.
Yeah, really. I know. So, yeah, so what it's like with the how long you been doing touring with the Good Intentions, you know?
That came out
23.
yeah, last year in May. So that carried us into this. That'll carry us through the end of this year, the dates we have, and then next first quarter next year, the next EP will be coming out, which we are super excited about. Speaking of Stabbing Westward, I don't think we've announced this yet, but there's Stabbing Westward did a remix of the song Bad Taste that's going to be on the next EP that Chris did the remix and added vocals to.
So cool.
It's so
Oh,
weird
wow.
hearing him sing Bellhead lyrics. Like,
Yeah.
it's a younger me is going, well, that wasn't on my bingo card, you know.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
voice is just piercing. I love Chris Hall. He's just amazing.
He's a wonderful soul, and he's so great to work with. And yeah, we're really excited for everyone to hear. He turned it into an industrial banger, and that's not necessarily what we sound like all the time. You know, we're definitely more kind of post-punk, goth, pop punk, you know, at times. And this is really like, this is going to be a nice high BPM to get people on the dance floor.
I haven't told you this yet, but I just played it for a friend of ours, and they said it sounds like the rave scene at the beginning of Blade.
Yes!
And so I'm like, somebody's got to cut that for me.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Could you,
right.
take us through the writing process that you go through when composing a new song?
Oh man, songs are like, they start out real small. They're like a bar of soap. You know, you fit in the palm of your hand. It's just an idea. It's not anything till you kind of get, you know, it's like you write a bass line. It's just one part. You go, okay, now what? You need something else. But as the song kind of comes together, Karen and I it's like a medicine ball we throw back and forth. You know, you sort of yes-anding. And as soon as we have the guts of it, the verse and the chorus, or the verse and the whatever it is, 2 pieces, we immediately get it into the rehearsal space and start playing it. because these songs are not, they don't live in computers. They live on stage and they live in rehearsal. So getting our breaths and the changes that come with playing something versus programming it, is really important. And then from there, we kind of build out the song. The song gets its intro, it gets its outro. Karen tells me I finally have to write a second or third verse, so on and so forth. Because that's the part that I will do sometimes to a detriment of the lateness, But it's very, very collaborative, and no part goes unturned of like, well, let's try this. Or Karen has a very powerful, nope, not doing that.
Ain't happening.
Nope. And sometimes it takes a long time to get things built up and put together. Like one of the songs that's going to be coming out on the EP next year, it took a long time to get to the final version. Horses, where it was just like we added sounds, we took out sounds, we added a verse, we took out a chorus. And I was like, I hate the song, Ivan. I don't like it. And he's like, just let's work on it. Let's do it. But I guess the most important part about being a duo or being in a band in general is that you need to check your ego when you're working with somebody. And you're going to hear no a lot. You're going to hear, or like, I don't really like that. And you can't take it personally, right? Because we're trying to write a badass song. And it's not that I hate Ivan. It's just like that I hate that one little tiny sound. Like those stupid Chinese.
But the thing is, like, every song needs a patron, like you need somebody who believes in the song. Like you can't just go, everybody in the band can't just go, it's fine. You need somebody who's like, no, we have something here. Let me take it home and work on it. And like that song in particular that Karen was talking about, like when that song started, it was me doing all the vocals, and then you were, I think, on like the chorus or something. And then at some point I came to you and I said, what if we swap lines like we do in Unicorn Bones? And it was completely changed the flavor of the song,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
And that was also a song where I had my highline and I had no bass written for you, and I was like, just do whatever, figure out what works for you.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's cool.
It's a lot of fun.
So Karen, what other bands you played in other than, tell me about W.O.R.M.
I played in every industrial band that Charles Levi didn't play bass in. long set and short. No, you know what? I've been in the music scene for a long time, at least in the the dark scene, your goth industrial stuff. And even before that, and I have no shame in this, but I was a cover band girl, in the 90s and 2000s. And so I was playing Motley Crue and Poison songs for a real long time. But it paid the bills, man. Like cover bands, are
I hated it so much. It was so hard. Yeah.
I know.
Get her on a long drive, and that side of her comes out. She's like, I need to stay awake, and you just go right into it. And I just go like,
at Lion,
I don't know you.
100, yeah. But then, once I kind of delved into the dark scene, I mean, I was in, this was early mid 2000s, right? I was in a Chicago band called Fashionbaum for a really long time. We had, we did pretty well for ourselves. I was in Digital Mindy for a good period of time. Yeah. So I actually was just talking to somebody today about Digital Mindy when we opened for Duran Gray at the Metro. I had some great opportunities with Nick and John, and that was a blast. And then they're great guys. Yeah. Obviously, Sheriff Scabs, and then I was in W.O.R.M for a long time with Mike Reedy and Schuberg and that group. We also did a 9 Inch Nails band. I was in AM Psych. I was in Mindflux Funeral. Literally any industrial band that Charles didn't take the bass lines for, I just swooped in and took all of them.
Yeah, that's the shit.
When we started Bellhead, we were both still in other bands, And it eventually just got to the point where Bellhead was too busy. And I said to Karen, actually, we have to stop saying we're busy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm so busy. But like, we literally couldn't do shows with other bands we respectfully in because we couldn't make rehearsals. And, and then you start feeling like I'm the one holding this band back from doing anything because my other band is already booked 8 months, whatever ahead. Like, we already know where we're going to be next year.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same, I was in W.O.R.M and now I'm nothing, right? Right at the beginning of Bellhead. And, I love all of them so much with all my heart. It's like Henny and Shu and Reedy, and they're great guys. But I didn't need to play Nine Inch Nail songs anymore. I needed to play songs that I wrote. And that was kind of one of the biggest things was like, I need to try and do my music one more time and see where it takes off.
Yeah.
And, bless their hearts. They're all still doing great though, and still busy with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
cover bands, you can make a lot.
It did. Yeah. I mean, especially through college.
Back in Chicago, you play out in the burbs, you got you some gigs, in this place. Well, you do them good, and you get paid for it,
Yeah. There's only so many times you can play girls, girls, girls before you want to scream, though.
Yeah. Stop it. So now, so tell me, what was it like? The video.
Yeah.
How was the video? What was the video like?
The bad taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what we were very fortunate to work with our director and friend John Weaver, because you had worked with him.
I worked with him for Fashion Bomb.
Worked with him when I was in Sheriff Scabs, and then in Mr. Russia. So then when it came to do Bellhead, we were like, well, we're going to work with Weaver because we trust him.
Yeah.
And we did the Unicorn Bones video, which was fantastic. It was not just fantastic, but it was during lockdown when everybody was making these really like inside their house, very close to their face videos. And I talked to Weaver on the phone. And he's like, do you like John Ford movies? And I'm like, big outside cinemas? Sure. And he's like, so we went outside and got further away from the camera and like, got to create a very different atmosphere. So then when it came time to do the Bad Taste video, Karen, would you just location?
I have this mystery Google map document that it's like I have things all over it and pinned, and I find these weird obscure places that I want to go and visit at some point. Just like how we are on tour, and I'm like, pull over, there's Cadillacs in the middle of the desert, let's take a photo with it. So I went to Ivan and I said, look at what I found in Wisconsin, and which was where all these weird kind of statues and stuff were.
So they're the molds or the leftover fiberglass from all of the what you would think of like the Route 66 fiberglass models, like the big boy holding the
burger.
One company made everything for the Midwest for decades, and they just have a graveyard of this stuff outside.
Oh, cool.
In the elements. And because in theory, if a company needed to use it, it's like, well, it still exists, it's made of metal or the fiberglass, negatives. And so Karen sends me this and I see this giant devil head. I'm like, yes, that's
it. Yeah.
And so when we talked to Weaver, it was like, well, what do you want to do different? And film came up. He's like, I want to shoot on film.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, well, like what kind of film? And it was actually, he wanted to do some handheld, it was Super 8. And all of the problems of being analog, he's got, there's no
tape measure to like measure light and distance and
how much footage is on each piece of film. So it's like how much time we have. So that was a different element that was another like something else to play with. We also got a drone.
Yeah, and we had some drone footage, which was a first for us too, which is
Oh
really
yeah.
Yeah, and we went out and we were able to run around, and the first shot, my foot went through. I slipped and my foot went through a fiberglass thing into a puddle of standing water, like up to the calf. And I was just like, well, I'm not afraid of getting dirty for the rest of this now because my
all in now.
shoe is full of bog water.
Ugh.
But a lot of that video was again, it's trust, right? And it's going back and forth with people where it's like, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it and see. And especially the big fear of working with film is that you don't have an instant playback. You can't sit and go through your 18 selfies on your phone to post the right one on Instagram. So we did it and we held our breath, and there's like,
well, no, the part was the film got lost in the post. So there was a point where we actually thought we didn't have any film.
yeah,
And that was like a gut punch. It was like,
because you can't go to the Jewel and get this developed.
Yeah, you gotta,
it has to be sent out, and there's only like 3 places that still does it.
Oh,
it was a wild.
Yeah.
And then once Weaver got it and started putting it together, because the video's in his head. It's not Karen and I. He just goes, go over there, look this way, and I'm looking at whatever he told me to look at, but he's also adding to it as he goes, because literally one of us went to take a piss on the other side of the trees and found a cornfield, and then went, hey, new idea, let's go over here and shoot in the cornfield, which led to Weaver going, all right, Ivan, I need you to run and fall down in the cornfield, which I'm like, okay, cool. Like the 7th time, I'm like, do you not have, is this about the video, or is this about something I said, but it turned out great. And that's the thing, is trusting somebody who's got vision, because we write the song. We don't really have a lot of, like, I don't know, cinematography to, like, the song tells the story, so the visuals is already in the words. It's not me going like, and then we're gonna go here and
yeah. And so Bad Taste was released this year, so that kind of kept moving forward with our tour and our plans. And the other great thing about Weaver's work with this video is that we've actually been nominated quite a few times for various film festivals, which is a whole new thing, right? Like I've never had that before. So like we were nominated for the Indie Film Fest in Ohio. There's one in New York, one in LA. And then there's 2 different horror festivals that we've had been nominated and been screened at. And what an incredible honor to, and it's also, it makes you realize, like, we make music for us that we enjoy, that we want to play, that we want to hear. But now it's like, wait a minute, like there's people that actually enjoy the art that we're putting out enough to nominate us for a music video award, which is so incredible. And we're so thankful. And again, we could not do this without John. There's no way.
The amount of energy that he puts into it, it's not just okay, I'm gonna show up and shoot this. He really, like, in the editing, he's coming back to us with, okay, I cracked the code, and we're like, there was a code, and the first minute he sent us to the video, we were just struck, and I was like, I listened to the song different since I saw his visualization of it. So that's great.
That's cool. Damn.
Could you guys describe your style of playing bass?
I'm a bass player.
She plays well, I play okay.
I'm a pocket bass player. I've always been a pocket bass player. I hold the groove down. It's it's a very classic sound. I use Ampeg amps and Gibson basses, and that is a very specific tone and a very specific attitude. And that's just how it is. And I can play different styles, but again, I am going to be the one holding everything down.
Holding it down. Yeah.
Yep.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
So, because of the nature of Bellhead, I play mid and high. for the most part, I'm filling the other hand, so it's like, well, Karen's gotten that taken care of. I don't really need to just
Yeah.
double that up. It's like when you have a keyboard player playing the low notes against the bass, you're like, would you get out of my way? So I try not to step on what she's doing. And
Yeah.
I play a Gretsch short scale, which is not a thing that I would ever have sought out, but
Mm.
I was playing a Fender Jazz for like the longest time, and it went in the shop, and I had this Gretsch that I got super cheap, and I just liked the feel of it because it was just a different way to play. So I brought it to rehearsal, and this was when I was in Mr. Russia, and it suddenly changed the dynamic. It scooped and like scooped some of the low and hit some of the mid in a different way, and it was like it sounded better without me thinking that there was a better to sound. So when we came to Bellhead, it was like, okay, I'm gonna take what I've learned elsewhere and immediately apply it. This gets me out of the way of the kick drum. This gets me out of the way of the low end, and just fine tune kind of my EQ to Karen's, so that it was like there's never a who's playing what, sort of stance. But I played in enough bands where there was no guitar player that I'm used to being able to fill like a middle role. If you think about like if you've got a band where you've got like a noisy guitar, like Bauhaus with Daniel Ash, David J is playing bass, but he's also kind of holding a rhythm, like a rhythm guitar importance in the song. It's like so I would end up doing a lot of that. So then it just kind of became natural when we started doing this to just sort of, all right, fill in here where we needed to punch, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And what's neat is when Karen writes my parts, and I'm like, so this is how you think of what I'm doing, when I write parts. What was the thing you said about the driving?
Oh yeah. So like we when we write, sometimes our beats are a little off. And the best way I can describe it is not that they're wrong. It's that if you're driving in a car, some people, depending on like what teacher taught you, you either drive close to the curb or you drive close to the middle line, but you're still in the lane. It's still the same lane. And so that's right. I drive closer to the curb. He drives closer to the middle line. And then, we make it work.
Yeah, there's certain parts of the song, like some of the song, it doesn't matter, but it's like, okay, when I do this, I need you to meet me here, and that's that thing. It's like you can really play really well with people, but you have to zig and zag together. I played with this guy, great player, but he and I could not just jam because we always go in opposite directions. We love the same records, but we love the opposite parts about them. And so whenever we would go to just kind of like riff in the room, one of us would have to just go, I'm going to follow the other one. And, and it's just like the way that players play. So Karen and I, for the most part, is fine until I'm like, okay, but on the change going into the chorus, and you're like, you want that beat, and I want it to be here, and you want it there, and then, whatever. But then the song wins, the song will tell you what it needs to be.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Forte, Levi, what do you have to add to that?
What I had to add is a knuckle sandwich. No. You get it right when I hit you with this. Yeah, so no, I mean, man. So what are your influences? What influenced you guys?
I mean, really?
Can't think of any. None that are on the call.
Not a single bass player to be seen.
No, I mean, I remember being like, this cat is on every record, and these are good records. How do you get that job? How do I get that job?
It was more like, how does a bass player get airtime on a massive movie? You're watching The Crow, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, they focused on a bass player for a second? How do I get that gig?
I know that cat.
Yeah, I know that fucking guy. What a jack. No, but man,
we'd hear licks that, I mean, Thrill Kill, Days Flying Roses. You know, it's just like that. Those bass lines, like you just man, like you were writing a hook you could hang a coat on. You know, like
Yeah.
that was the most consistent part of the song was the bass line and the drums. You know, it's just it's staying there, and you would write a groove that
Yeah.
never got old. You know, and some of those songs are really long. So that's a bass line that's like, are you sure this is how you want to go? It's like, yeah, that just
That's
fat
just
sound, you know?
Yeah. Marson Daly, he's a bass player too. You know, he was a bass player. A lot of guys in Chicago, a lot of I'm friends with a lot of guys that play. And I used to just really, like Daryl Munch, he plays with the Stones, you know, I used to watch him. I used to go to the club and watch him play. And that's just how, just been my forte. I just love to see people play. I like to support people, and
Oh, you
stuff.
always have.
Yeah.
Always.
Definitely.
I mean, I truly and honestly, you were the guy that was out at the shows, and
Yeah.
going out and partying and hanging out. And
Yeah.
and that was noticeable for all of the Chicago music scene about how you were visible and you were approachable, which is not always a thing for most people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
especially for young musicians kind of coming into the scene,
Mhm.
having somebody that you can talk to,
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah. Thanks. That's true. Those guys, I did the same thing that kept me going,
Yeah.
just being open with people and deal with stuff. Um, I know one thing, it's like I want to keep going.
Hell yeah.
I want you guys to keep going, keep playing, That's really you guys you guys ever considered having a percussionist, not, another character. I think I've asked you that before. Yeah.
We've talked about having guests on our record, and it comes down to, but and the percussionist. It's like we know some really good drummers. I mean
Yeah.
it's like, hey Martin, But
Yeah.
the
I
thing
mean,
is,
like the girl from the fucking band um Thompson Twins. All she did was just stand around and
yeah,
click, click,
Oh,
click,
for sure.
the part of the thing
and play bongos and shit, and
Yeah.
stuff.
part of the thing that Karen and I built this band is we initially talked about having other people, and then it was actually Karen's husband Dave who was like, "Why don't you two just do it?" And we're like, "That's stupid," And then we're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, why not go to the space, plug in the drum machine, try it out?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we built the band so the band fits. We're very portable, like we can
Yeah.
travel great distances without a trailer, without,
Yeah.
we could rough it, and that's how we were able to go all the way out to Colorado to see you, and
Yeah.
um,
Awesome.
so the cost benefit of having a drummer would be, you're
Uh-huh.
having anybody else involved would be, that's another schedule, that's another mouth to feed, and frankly, it's not like I wouldn't be opposed to doing something, to trying something one off, but I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the long term, unless we got like fuck you money, um,
Had a driver.
yeah.
Yeah.
Had some six, buddy. Yeah, I know. I guess so. Yeah. But no, that's cool.
But
That's
there'll always be room for another bass player, Charles.
yeah, me another bass, me playing bass, me playing drums and bass, drums,
Do it
drums and
all.
back pocket.
Do all of it.
Yeah, like Steven Seabolt.
Ah, bless that man.
Yeah,
Ah, he's
yeah,
so talented.
yeah, yes, yeah. I'm a Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joy, what do you think?
Well, what was the best crowd you performed in front of and why?
All of them.
Like
That's one answer.
we'll play it. I'll tell you, like,
No, there's I have a specific show.
oh, okay, go ahead.
So I Nashville.
Oh,
Yeah, all right.
I think different reasons.
So we were given a wonderful opportunity, and we did 2 shows with Bellwether Syndicate and Clan of Zymox, both amazing human beings in both bands. And so we did Nashville and we did Milwaukee, and Nashville was a huge room, right? It was 500, and it was like 750, right? But it was a balcony and a stage. So originally they weren't going to let anybody up in the 750, to amplify that up. They only had the 500 on the floor open.
Yeah.
And so we get there, and by no fault of anyone's, because it happens on tour. There's delays, people are late. So Clan of Zymox was late getting there, which meant Bellwether Syndicate was late getting on stage, and then they're done, and basically the sound guy turns to us and goes, "You have 8 minutes till doors," and we're like, "That's all we need." So we and again, the benefits of having 2 people in a band, right, is we had 8 minutes. We threw our stuff on stage, did a line check, did a sound check, literally hit the last note, and then they were letting the crowds come in.
Yeah.
The cool thing, which you want to go, no, you can get it.
So Nashville doesn't have the same fear of fire that Chicago does for obvious reasons. So they have a curtain on their stage, which is not like a fire. It just opens and closes in the front.
An old velvet, beautiful.
Yeah. And the guy's got it on an iPad, and so I go to him and I go, "Can you just open that when I wanted to?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be on stage whenever you want it." And this is very like my background in
theatrics.
Yeah, Ralph Dazzle. My grandfather was a clown. I've seen the performing. We're on stage. The fanfare at the beginning of our set starts. We're building fog. The song is already playing. The curtain's closing. The guy keeps looking at me. I'm like, hold it till now. And then the curtain opens.
Fog
comes out, and I just get to attack out into this audience who is just packed. We did not know how packed it was. So they're surprised to see me, and I am ready to just destroy. And we just hit that stage with the most we've played with Bellwether Syndicate before, and they're great people, but we get competitive
in a good way.
We were out on tour with them with Silence, and every night everyone is just trying out and do each other. And I'm like, I want to make sure they have to work so hard when they get on stage. So I'm just out there to destroy, And we did. We had a great show, but that moment of the having that theatric was just, I was like, I can do anything now,
Oh wow. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Fucking A. Shit.
So much fun.
It shows that, you're full of adrenaline, and you go, what stupid thing can I do? Because when we saw you, I climbed up on this whatever, it was like a speaker. I up on something, and I saw Dave, Karen's husband, was with us, and I just saw him go because he's like, we have 5 more shows. You can't get hurt. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna impress Levi. Look at me, Mom. And it's like you get anytime you're on stage, you get blood on you. You do this thing where you're like, as long as it's my own, it's okay. I don't feel it yet, but if it's somebody else's, that's when you're concerned. And it's just because you're on stage and you just do dumb stuff. How many times have you been kicking and going afterwards? You're like, I'm gonna hurt so bad tomorrow.
Karen, did you get your surprise?
My surprise?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Oh, guess not.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess not. Well, well, so how many you're still using the bases you have and everything and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned before, it's like I'm an Ampeg and a Gibson girl. So I've been using Ampeg amps for a long time. I have this great
Yeah.
combo, and then I play Thunderbird basses. That is,
Yeah.
akin to my 80s. Here's Nikki Sixx, but even before that, like Thunderbirds were super popular in the 70s.
Yeah.
In the glam rock era, and that's kind of where my roots really are. Was
Mhm.
you're asking about influences, and we said Charles, but the 70s glam era, like David Bowie, T-Rex, Mott the Hoople, and you go on and on and on. Like that was really my love and my passion. So
Yeah.
my sound comes so much from the Gibson and the Thunderbirds, and that's kind of where it's at. But also to do these songs live, we both have these massive pedal boards at the front of the stage.
Mhm.
And they're kind of our secret spice, because at the end of the day, it's like, how do you make two bass players interesting to watch and interesting to sound? For a whole song.
Novelty, so that's where, like, so distortion, reverb, a little bit of spice goes a long way.
Yeah. I've been messing with the effects since you guys been doing it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really good.
And we're very we're not digital, when it comes to our effects. Like you see a lot of people, they're all straight and board, and they're using like the helixes and stuff. We still have old-fashioned pedals that need power, and I think it's kind of, it's a nice nod. An Electro Harmonix big muff distortion pedal just has a sound, right? And no matter how many times you try to replicate that digitally, you're not going to get the growl that you get naturally.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
It's the safety of being in the box. It's like when you're like, if you think back to, like, analog, when you're going to tape, you can push it and you get that distortion on tape. But when you do it digital, you get clipping. And when you have a bunch of pedals, you can put them in a weird order that they're not supposed to go in, and you go, well, that doesn't work, but it's interesting, And when you kind of have it all in the box, I mean, I'm sure there's a mod and somebody knows how to, but I'm a bass player. I don't know how to do that. I know how to put pedals on a board and connect them and troubleshoot when something's wrong, and we don't have real fancy well, you've got the one Paul Barker,
the Malay.
and that thing's pretty wild. But for the most part, it's EHX and Boss. It's stuff that's it's
tried and true.
If it goes bad, we can also replace it. It's not, and when you step on something that much, you gotta kind of wonder the lifespan of it's gonna be.
True. Yeah.
Well, what can fans expect from Bellhead's new EP coming out in 2025?
Threats. They can expect threats. There will be threats. Yes. We just got the masters, and Karen asked me what I thought, and I said to her, I feel like I'm listening to somebody else's record. And not that it doesn't sound like us, but there's a level of, like, it feels, I don't know, like, exactly, I'm still formulating it in my head, but it feels like that's really us. It sounds really good. Like that sounds like,
professionals.
Yeah, that's that kind of.
We're just bass players. It doesn't sound like that.
And you listen to your own record different than other people hear it, and I don't mean like, well, the records we've made before are crap. It's just this has a different kind of sheen to it, and I was really excited to kind of check a bunch of boxes. Like we have the song where Karen sings the chorus. We have the song where we go back and forth line for line. We go back and forth. We do all the vocal tricks.
The Bellhead things.
Yeah, and we got to stretch. Karen wrote lyrics for the first time, and I was really excited about that because they're good, But it was, it's been me putting words in her mouth for this whole time, and finally she's like, "No, I got something here." So
It's a great EP, and I'm so proud of it, and I'm really excited to share it with everybody. It's, definitely, I think my favorite Bellhead song is on this one. So that's, yeah.
I just can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and not only did we get Staring Westward remix, but we also we have a friends band called Club Drugs, which is a newer band, and we asked them to do a remix, which they did as well. So in a kind of balance of like old friends and new friends, we put those two remixes on to the EP after the original songs to kind of round out what we felt was like a very strong grouping of songs. So I'm excited that, and I really like their remix.
Yeah. Wow. So is there anything you guys want to promote?
I mean, I think right now we're still touring, right? We have a good number of shows for the rest of the year coming up. Tomorrow, actually on a Monday of all things, we're playing with Gene Loves Jezebel at Reggie's, which is going to be wild. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And we're playing. It's a pretty early show, like it's kicking off at 8:30. So I know it's a Monday, but everyone will get home at a decent time. And then later in the month in October, we're part of Chicago radio legend James Van Otzel. So he does a podcast called Car Con Carne. We've been on a few times, and we're going to be part of his 1,000th episode, and it's going to be live at Liars Club. It'll be us, actually with Club Drugs, and then the old punk rock band Effigies is going to be playing.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
Yeah.
Earl.
Right?
I
haven't heard from Earl in years. Oh my God.
From Smoking Post is also going to be doing that. So, and JBO is a great guy. It's like,
he's been a supporter from day one.
Yeah.
So when he asked, of course, we're going to do that.
At Liars Club.
Yeah. But then, we have dates all through November, where we're going to be playing. We're going down to New Orleans for the first time as a band, and we're doing Dark City Fest. We're heading back east at the end of the year. We're going all the way out to DC and back. And everyone can get our tour dates, on any of our social medias and our website. I always say to go to bellheadband.com first, and then you could lead you to our Spotify and our Facebook.
Like in October, we're coming back through Nashville. Well, I'm really excited for the show in Little Rock. We're playing the Nevermore.
Little Rock.
Like a Halloween event there is going to be really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom was born in Little Rock.
Oh, nice. It's the one thing that we've discovered, because we've been touring pretty hot and heavy this year. It's been really nonstop for us. But the one thing that I've been really excited about is seeing these small little scenes pop up that you didn't expect there to be a scene. So like we played Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And like that's not a tour stop. That's never been a tour stop.
No.
And now there's a goth community.
They had Voltaire there.
Yeah.
And
and Mortis played there too.
The thing that we find is people go like, my city doesn't have anything, and I'm like, then make something. Like this band didn't exist till we made it exist. And anything, it starts with you. And I remember we were talking to this promoter, and show wasn't great, wasn't a great turnout, and it was really kind of down. And I'm like, it's one show, man. They can't all be winners, but you keep at this and you build a thing, and people will talk about how they were at that show that they weren't at.
Yeah.
And you'll know because you were there, but you have to build it and persevere and feed the thing. You can't just go, oh, this got hard. So when we talk to people and they're like, well, we're starting this thing, but we don't know. And then if it's within our cards, we'll do it. We went to Indianapolis, and what was that? Healer.
Yeah.
They have this crazy space, and the show was just fantastic, and the audience just loved it, and they came from all over, you know,
Yeah.
like live in Chicago and you go like, well, it's on the other side of town. It's too far. And they'll go, well, it was only a 3.5 hour drive. We're like,
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
Damn.
So, but it's fun. I love playing these tiny little towns. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're
Yeah.
so cool, you know, and yeah, and it's you meet such interesting and fun people. So yeah, Little Rock, Arkansas has a goth crowd, and we are heading
Wow.
here soon. So
Jeez, damn. It's it's not on any tour guide.
no, not at all. But it's exciting, right? Like that's a whole
Yeah.
new stop now.
They're very true. You know, the little small little cities, you know, or towns,
Yeah.
they give it out. They come out and they give you a good. They have good audience. You know,
well,
those that make it. You know.
you know, like playing in Chicago, doesn't matter who's on stage, people are,
Yeah.
and it makes you like, one, it makes you good because you
Yeah.
gotta play, you know, your ass off. But it also makes you just kind of jaded. And
Yeah.
we'll get out of town, and there was this time
And
we're,
people
we're in the parking lot, and this guy in a pickup truck yells at us, and Karen just drops like she's just ready to.
Like the guy rolls down his window when he's in a pickup truck in Omaha, right? Again, like a place you never expect a band to go, and he's like, "You guys in some sort of band?" And I literally like Chicago face on, going like, "I'm gonna get in a fight in a parking lot outside a venue at 4 o'clock in the afternoon." Okay, you know, and he's like, "No," he's like, "I'm a sound guy." I was like, "I'll be there. Give me 5 minutes. You
Get coffee. I'll be right there.
coffee?" Like, and we're like, "Dude, cool."
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, dude, you almost got your ass beat. I hear you.
Chicago makes you like, it makes you hard, and then you go other places, and people are like really grateful. And like I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, I did this. This happened when we were on this last tour, and I'm not proud of this, but this is a very Chicago thing. Is I was at a venue, and I was walking to go outside, and this guy hollered at me, and I didn't hear him.
Because we're deaf.
Yeah, and he grabs me by the shoulder. You don't do that in Chicago. You don't
No.
grab a stranger, you know. So
No.
I just spun around and looked at this guy and said, "Don't you fucking touch me." And he just, all the color went out of his face. And he's like, "Oh man, I just want to know if you played yet." And I'm like, "Okay, got to de-escalate this now." But that's
Oh, yeah.
Chicago. That'll get your ass kicked on the train. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a heartbeat, you know. And it's like, I'm not in Chicago anymore, but my defenses are, you know. And
Yeah.
that's the great thing about when we go out, and these people are, their enthusiasm, and they're like, you know, have you been to so and so, and you got to stop at this music shop? And
So, well,
yeah, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
we've been to places that have like, I never expected this to be such a cool scene. Like we were at Cape Girardeau,
Yeah.
and we're going back there because we had such a good time, and
Yeah.
the people were wonderful. You know,
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Do you have any words of advice for new artists in the music industry coming up?
Yeah,
so yeah,
no, you know what? Music has always been a hard thing to do, you know, and everybody knows that. I think the most important thing, I think, which I have said, is that you can't take it personal, right? And I think a lot of people, especially aspiring artists, don't understand that you're going to be told no 10,000 times before somebody's going to say yes. And that doesn't mean your music is bad. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just
Right.
not right for the time. And especially, you know, we do everything ourselves, right? We don't have a booking agent right now. We don't have a label. You know, it is all
Mhm.
us. And like you try to route a tour, and I send out 100 emails and I get 3 responses. And like you gotta
be kind of.
you gotta shelter your heart a little bit, right? Or else it's gonna hurt. But I think it's, you know, also, you know, new artists also need to kind of learn, you know, they need to kind of learn that as they go. Like, you know, there was this young artist that reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you could help me book a show." And it was, "Yo, I heard you could help me book a show." And I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, well, I'm so and so." What kind of music, you know? And so like it was this like I'm pulling stuff out, and I finally I'm like, "Listen, man," and I'm like, as this is professional advice coming to you, like if you're new at this and you're coming out, you need to lead with your best foot forward. So you can't, be like, hi, my name is so-and-so. This is the band I'm in. This is our sound. Here's our website. I heard you made, you can't just
elevator pitch it.
Yeah, you need to kind of work it out. And, and I talked to this younger artist, and they're like, hey, I really appreciate that. Like, thanks for letting me know that. But again, it's just, it's simple things to kind of take into consideration as you go. But also don't let all of the negativity deter you from doing what you love. I think that's what's most important.
I think there's a piece of this. We've been talking about this a bit on tour and stuff, but there's a piece that I think the music business never gets easier. It only gets harder because everybody pulls the ladder up behind them. The bands that got signed on MySpace, well, guess what? There's no more MySpace. The bands that, like the money that was from this, that doesn't exist anymore. So you have to find your own revenue streams. But before all that, you got to make music that you like, that you want to play.
Yeah.
But before you go to sell that, you got to look at the music you make and go, do I want to make this into a commodity? Because you can make music just to make music.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but people got caught up in the idea that if I make music, I have to sell it. And that's not true. You can just make music. You can just enjoy music. You can make a sculpture or do a painting, and you don't have to show it to anybody.
It doesn't need to be in an art gallery.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be shared. And it's like, sometimes you write music and you go, that was good. I needed to do that for me. But this has no place being out in the world. Like sometimes you just get together with some buddies and you just scream into a microphone about how much you hate your job. And that's fine. Like it doesn't have to be, okay, well, we're going to go on tour. And you don't have to make it into a job. Only crazy people do that, So if you want to play music just to play music, that's fine. You don't have to sell it, There's the option of just, having joy in being creative,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's what you gotta tell them. Gotta let them know and stuff. So right now, I guess we're gonna have to fold this up, and you get everything you need to promote.
Yeah,
we do. Well, I mean, again, we love you so much, Charles, and I was so happy that it worked out that we were able to see you this year. I mean, I think a lot of people on here may not know, but earlier in the year we routed. I actually, honestly and truthfully, I routed a tour to come see you, and that was the plan. The whole time was we're going to see Charles. Yeah. And I'm just going to book a tour out and bring the husband and and that it meant so much for us to hang out with you, and
it meant to me too. It really does.
And I love it, and I love you so much. Like you are so important to us, more than I think you realize, and it was amazing to see you. And the good news is I will tell you that we will be back out that way in 2025. So we have been offered something which I can't discuss yet, but you can look forward to seeing us out there again next year for sure, 100%. So
that is so good. That's so
good. And obviously Dave will make sure that my husband comes along.
Yeah. I hope he's having a good day today at work.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you both so much. We love hanging out and chatting, and we could do this all night with Charles, but we know we have to stop the interview at some point. So but anyone out there, check us out at bellheadband.com. We're /Bellhead Band. We're on every single social media format. We're on Spotify, Bandcamp, and all our streaming services. And we are on tour right now through the end of November. Where I said we're going down south. We're going back to the East Coast. We have a couple Chicago dates, including tomorrow. So hopefully we'll see you guys, and we look forward to hanging out with everybody.
And if you want to play in your town, hit us up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great note to go out on. Well, we have reached that time again where we must depart from all of you, wonderful people. I want to thank Karen and Ivan from Bellhead for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you guys. It means a lot to us.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out their music on Bandcamp and visit their website, bellheadband.com. As always, we dedicate this episode to our partner in crime, Jason Lupo. Be kind to each other. You never know what someone's going through, and strive to brighten people's days. There's so much negativity in this world. There's simply no need to add to it. Until next time, we bid you a fond farewell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.